I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions.
This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
This is us in our newly adopted stance of being backness. A picture on which we happily collaborate. Your father charged me in his will to give you good education. Yes, and thanks be to him for that.
As you like it.
Time for the rhyme.
Again, and always, like this. Ray was a player of the right note. He took his time, and yes, it showed. Think more than twice before you invest. DYOR, and get the best. Yeah, he had some risks, but it all paid. We work and play to have it made. To make it, you must take a chance. Play the right note, and so advance. Success is earned with the right moves, so know it well what you can choose.
Anything you want.
Yeah, so I should not be complacent? No, don't be complacent. Take the time to play the right note. In investing, actions should be prudent. Time is money, so don't delay. Your investments need you every day. Calculate risks and measure costs. An informed decision is the boss. Think of the future before it arrives. And remember, success takes more than jives. Take the time to play the right note. Always keep your stuff afloat. Analyze data and do your research. Investing is not chance or church. Do not be hasty when it comes to money. Take your time and play with it, honey. Listen to old Ray's advice. Do your diligence. Always think twice. Learn from experience, good or bad. And ask for help whenever you're sad. Consider all factors that you find. Make the best decision in your mind. Know when to diversify and when to stay put. And if something's not perfect, be aware that...
That's good.
Finally,
take the time to play the right note. And then you will know it will rise like a boat.
All things be ready if the mind be so.
Interesting. Thank you, my loquacious leap from a jagged cliff. As if only I knew what you meant. What I mean is what we've been saying. Which is that if you deliberately practice at being good and take the time to do it right the first time, you will have success that same first time. Wildly beyond even your own dreams? Yes, even that, DT, my liege, so please you give us leave. Not until you set up how you're going to tie this in. But that's in Act 3. You know that. It's never too early for you to be prepared, you know. Okay, I'll give you that. I can sum up the scene for you in this movie. Before the first break? I can sure try. Okay, go ahead then. We'll rewind if it isn't any good. Right, okay. So picture this. The two of them are sitting on a piano bench. Uh-huh.
That's good.
And the actor playing Ray Charles, Jamie Foxx, plays a wrong note. By accident? Well, maybe, or maybe it was just setting up the point. And Ray Charles points it out. To which Fox says, it's just a mistake, or something like that, right? Right. But Charles says, no, take the time to play the right note. So even if you want a shortcut... Yeah, even if you want a shortcut, you don't take it. Why? Because later you'll want to relax, knowing that you did your very best. And so you can surround yourself? Yes, you can surround yourself with a piece of...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. You can find us on both the App Store and the Play Store because our message is for everyone. Leave a rating for us, or even better, tell a friend. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. To leave us a written message, which just might lead to more in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes to find our subreddits. There is also our Facebook group page, Twitter, and other ways which we'll tell you about from time to time. You can also find an Easter egg every so often, so listen closely. Thank you again, and keep those constructive ideas coming. Is that a song, DT?
It's the notes to a song.
Okay, any particular song?
It doesn't matter what song,
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
as long as I'm taking the time to play the right note.
Oh, I got ya.
Which brings me to a point.
And that point would be what?
That's good.
The point would be, can you give us a list of examples of how someone can take the time to be deliberate?
If you mean by being deliberate, taking the time to play the right note, I sure can.
Okay, well, you may get started anytime.
What? Wouldst thou have me go and beg my food? Or with a base and boisterous sword enforce a thievish living on the common road?
Thou knows I seek nothing of the sort, Kevin.
As you like it.
You were saying?
Yes, the list.
Radio. Okay, well, here we go. The first thing we can do is carefully select what it is that we're about to do.
Isn't that kind of redundant?
Well, it might seem so, but it's not. Just as important as taking the time to play the right note is taking the time selecting the note to be played.
That's kind of like painting a picture, isn't it?
It is, DT, a good way to paint that image. Make the note resonate with the sound you want from your goal. Then take the time to play it right so that it sounds right.
Which leads perfectly into your second example.
Thank you, DT. Now, before we go there, aren't you going to ask me how this ties into investing?
I was planning on doing that in the third act per usual.
The third act.
I'm confused. Does that mean you can't do it now?
No, it does not mean that at all.
All right, DT, let's go with it now. And if it helps you, I'm asking for a friend.
Like I haven't heard that one before.
Well, I couldn't be sure. You're only 2.
3 now.
Oh, that's right, since we're in our 4th year of this podcast.
And I wasn't here until year 2.
Right, but you're coming along splendidly. So that friend I'm asking for
Yes?
is actually our listeners, who are our best friends.
And?
And I need you to help me make sure that they understand that this sort of deliberation does tie in.
Okay, good. May I suggest a personal example?
Sure, good call. And here's the personal example. I'm personally about to try options.
Which are?
Different show, DT. We'll get to that, definitely. But it's a different show.
Different show, DT.
Okay, so they're important now. Why?
Because I always used to recommend against them as being nothing but gambling.
And do you think differently now?
Not exactly. I just have a more deliberate approach. And everyone should have that.
So how do you go about trying options then?
I've created a spreadsheet
That does everything?
almost everything, DT. It goes through the motions of doing it for real so that I can
Practice!
That's right.
And then, when you do it for real,
I'll just take the practice and turn it live.
which is what everyone should do.
I could not agree more, DT.
However, that takes patience. PPR. Patience, persistence, and repetition.
Right, so you've listened intently and practiced with focus.
Yes, but there's more. Understanding how each note should sound in order to play correctly is important. But as I said, there's more.
But I trust that it's still easy.
To the extent that we make hard things easy every day, it sure is.
Yes, of course, my liege. But what is it that's more?
It's taking what you have learned and then experimenting with different approaches until you find the one that fits you.
So you can follow the wisdom of those who have gone before and still be yourself.
Yes, you can. And that is totally consistent with the idea of being kind to yourself.
How so?
Because you start with the wisdom of experience and allow your own wisdom to layer on top in a way that allows you to grow.
Oh, what about some of the other characteristics that we advocate?
Such as?
Such as mindfulness.
Ah, good one. And that is actually pretty easy because we have to put the entire song together. Each part of it has to fit together, and we have to stay mindful of that. By doing so, we'll ensure that those parts are being played correctly because we're feeling the whole picture.
And that's also what we have to do in investing.
Correct again, kind sir, but we also learn to trust our instincts. You can feel when it's right, and you can do the same thing in investing without betting the farm on any one thing.
Yeah, don't rush. Take the time to listen to what you're doing, even if it's recorded. Do what you need to do to grow. Commit to doing that.
Completely agreed. And I'm going to trust my instincts right now.
Why? What are they telling you?
Listen closely, and you'll find out. This is the start of...
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es bueno, Sybil. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too.
Aha! It is I who have figured out the correct notes to play.
And how'd you do that, DT?
Why, I did it like anyone else.
And how is that?
With my phone, you starving artist, you.
An app on your phone?
Not just any phone, my dear Sir Jonathan.
Oh, okay, then what?
He said simply,
It is a tiny computer, far more powerful than the ones which... What was that about?
Oh, it was me just trying to keep from crying with the realization that you are so very right again.
Okay. It's clear we need to stay focused on the simple solution.
Indeed it is. Taking the time to do anything is key.
So when you say playing the right note,
That is one of those anythings.
so you're really saying to do everything right, all the time.
Yes. And when you take the time to do anything that well, the results will speak for themselves, and you'll be happy.
So it's really that easy?
Yes, it is. And patience, persistence, and repetition are the way to go about it.
Oh, okay. We just have to keep at it until we get it right.
Which is what practice is all about when you think about it.
That's true, but I think we also need to be deliberate in our practice.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it won't sound right.
And by being patient and consistent in our approach, we'll get the desired result.
But this definitely won't happen overnight.
No, it won't. It's going to take a lot of work.
But if we stay focused and stay the course, we'll eventually get to where we want to be.
PPR. Patience, persistence, and repetition.
So, DT, you mentioned a phone app a second ago.
Yeah,
What does it say about this?
it's not what it says so much as the example it gives,
Which is, again,
which is that it's not about playing the right notes, but doing so in the right rhythm.
okay, good, which is how we make songs.
Exactamente.
The man said in Spanish.
It's not just the pitches or the notes, but how it all feels.
Which is precisely how this ties into investing today.
Huh?
The feel you get is what tells you when you've invested correctly.
Oh, I see. Without that feeling, you're not going to tell others or teach others.
And doing your research.
And for that, we need to be prepared.
Which we get by practicing. But wait, while you're at it,
Yes, DT?
can you give a final example of something you practice that pays off?
Yes, I can. And it has to do with speaking.
Public speaking?
Yeah, public speaking, and also private speaking.
Well, what is it then? I'm sure lots of our listeners want to know.
Every single day,
Every single day what?
every single day I read something for practice.
How is that practice?
Because it's a consistent 10 or more minutes a day. It's time I spend reading something written, like this, or maybe something by someone else.
Every day?
Yep, every single day. And at 10 minutes a day or more, I will be the best in the world in approximately 180 years.
Oh, isn't that too long to really have a plan for?
No, not at all, because it might just be a single lifetime or two at most. And that's to be the best in the world, not just pretty good.
Wow. We can all benefit from taking our time when playing. There's no rush, so take advantage of it and play with intention. With enough patience, persistence, and repetition, we can achieve great things.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Alter Ego, Doubting Thomas, Fact Checker, A Small Brown Beef Animal, Seriously, Tiny. Facts are important but are also easy. Social Manager, Abraham Lincoln, Media Expert, Augustus Caesar. Psychologist, William James. Sound Designer, Adobe's Creative Suite. Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy. French Consultant, Leah, the Do-Your-Own Research Lady. Videographer, Etomon Koshki. Audio Props, Les Paul. Inspiration, many podcasts and other sources, and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts. You can even send us a video, audio, or text message. But of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to get the links and stuff. All the clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices you hear in our work come from Google, Amazon Polly, and OpenAI, like we say in the show notes. We just love what AI can do when lovingly crafted.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch.com, Matchmaker.fm, Podbooker, and Podcast Guests, where we consider guests and consider guesting on other people's shows.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams, as well as from AI MuseNet. The sound effect credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canusi G, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51, and Just Kidding. Yes, that's his or her name. All on freesound.org. Also, languages are the bomb.
Paul.